The fist cuts air where Bruce's head was, 2 inches, that is all. Zhao's haymaker punch tears through humid Hong Kong night, but the target has vanished. His knuckles meet nothing. Neon signs flicker red and gold behind him. Market noise, a radio playing cantopop, vendors shouting prices, someone laughing 3 stalls away, all of it fades into background static. Bruce Lee stands inside the arc now. 220 pounds of street reputation hangs suspended in the moment between swing and consequence. Zhao's shoulder is still rotating forward, his weight committed, no retreat possible. The grocery bag sits motionless on concrete 5 feet away. Bok choy, eggs, rice, untouched, 4 seconds. That is how long Zhao has left before the pavement rushes up to meet him. Before 53 victories become 53 wins and 1 loss that will crack more than his ribs. Before everything he built on fists and fear comes apart under the surgical precision of a man half his size. Bruce's fist is already moving toward the floating rib, already decided, already, but to understand how 2 inches of empty air destroyed a man's entire world, you have to go back 30 minutes. 30 minutes earlier, the herbalist counted bills with trembling fingers. Zhao stood in the doorway, his shadow cut across dried roots and glass jars. The old man placed 500 Hong Kong dollars on the counter without meeting his eyes. Same amount, same date, 17 months running. Zhao pocketed the cash, moved to the next shop, the tailor, the noodle stall, the electronics vendor with the flickering sign. Each proprietor had the rhythm memorized. See Zhao, stop working, pay. Breathe again when his footsteps faded. Humid night air clung to his skin. 17 businesses on this single stretch of Market Street. 17 tributaries flowing into his pockets. Chen and Wei flanked him 3 steps back. Loyal shadows who cracked knuckles and spat on command. 53 fights. 53 men who thought size mattered until the pavement taught them otherwise. Zhao rolled his shoulders. 220 pounds of uncontested territory. The entire neighborhood knew the arithmetic. Resist equals hospital. Comply equals business as usual. Then the watch caught the neon glow. Gold, expensive, circling the wrist of a man barely 5'7", carrying groceries like he owned the night. Something tightened in Zhao's chest, not fear, opportunity. He stepped from the alley mouth and the smaller man didn't even flinch. Zhao's voice cut through the humid night air. The watch, give it to me. The Cantonese words came out flat, transactional, no politeness, no question mark at the end. Bruce stopped walking. The grocery bag lowered toward the pavement with the kind of care a surgeon might use placing instruments on a tray. The paper crinkled, bok choy pressed against brown paper. A carton of eggs settled onto concrete without a sound. White rice in a cloth sack. His voice came quiet as water moving over stones. I will give you 1 chance to walk away. Behind Zhao, Chen laughed. Wei shifted his weight. The sound carried down the narrow street where 17 shop owners were probably listening from darkened windows. Zhao laughed, loud, performative, the kind of laugh that said this smaller man, this ridiculous, well-dressed fool with his vegetables and his calm voice, had just made the evening entertaining. But even as the sound left his throat, Zhao felt the invisible arithmetic clicking into place. Chen was watching, Wei was watching. By morning, every vendor on this street would know what happened here. 53 victories had built something fragile, something that required constant feeding. His reputation demanded blood, and this stranger had just put groceries between them like they mattered more than violence. Movement on either side, 2 shadows peeled from the alley mouth and flanked Zhao like bookends. The taller one on the left cracked his knuckles, Chen, each pop sharp as breaking bamboo. The shorter, thicker one spat on the pavement. The saliva glistened under neon red. 3 men now, a triangle of muscle and scar tissue. Zhao turned his head toward Chen, then Wei. His grin widened. This little guy thinks he can fight all 3 of us. The crew laughed on cue. Humid air carried the sound across the food stalls. Somewhere a vendor's radio crackled through static, a woman's voice singing about lost love. Bruce did not move. His feet remained planted beside the grocery bag. Bok choy leaves caught a flicker of gold light. His voice came quieter than before, steady as deep water. I do not think, Zhao's grin faltered. I know. The two words landed like stones in still water. No threat, no posture. Just certainty stripped down to bone. Chen stopped cracking his knuckles. Wei's smirk twitched at the edges. The market noise faded into a hush that pressed against eardrums. And Zhao realized something that made his stomach turn cold. This man was not bluffing. Heat climbed Zhao's neck. His face burned red under the neon glow, visible to everyone. Chen Wei, the night market vendors pretending not to watch. Pride sank its hook deep into his throat, sharp, barbed, impossible to dislodge. He had built his legend on nights exactly like this one. 53 fights, 53 men who thought they could stand against him. The drunk businessman outside the Golden Phoenix who swung wild and woke up bleeding. The shop owner on Fa Yuen Street who grabbed a broom handle and dropped it after one body shot. The college boy defending his girlfriend's honor, who learned honor meant nothing against 220 pounds of street-trained muscle. All of them folded. Behind him, Chen shifted his weight. Wei breathed through his nose, waiting. The entire neighborhood watched through gaps in market stalls and from shadowed doorways. Zhao could feel their eyes like fingers pressing into his spine. Walk away now, and he became the man who backed down from someone half his size holding a bag of groceries. Stay, and face whatever lived behind that quiet voice. Zhao's jaw clenched. He stepped forward. Concrete scraped under his boot. His feet planted shoulder-width apart, the way they had 53 times before. His right hand curled into a fist. Weight shifted into his back leg, loading the punch with everything he had. But his stomach remained cold as winter river water. Time slowed, neon signs flickered red, then gold, then red again. The colors washed across wet pavement like blood and money. Zhao's shoulder began its rotation, slow, inevitable. His fist carried 220 pounds of momentum toward a target 2 inches away. Bruce did not move. His chest rose, fell, rose again, steady as tide. No tension in his jaw, no shift in his stance. He stood there, waiting. Like he had already seen how this ended. Zhao's knuckles ached from clenching. Sweat slicked his palm. His tricep burned with loaded power. The punch was already traveling, his body committed before his mind finished questioning. 3 stalls away, someone laughed at a joke Zhao could not hear. A radio played cantopop, Mandarin love songs drifting through humid air thick with the smell of fried garlic and char siu. The market noise felt distant, muffled. As if Zhao stood inside a glass bubble where only violence existed. Chen and Wei watched from the shadows. The entire street watched, for seconds. That was all the time left between legend and pavement. Between the man Zhao had built himself into and, what? Something his mind refused to name. His fist cut forward into empty air where Bruce's head had been one heartbeat before. His fist cut empty air, 2 inches. That was all Bruce had moved. 2 inches that swallowed Zhao's entire attack. The smaller man stepped inside the arc while Zhao's momentum carried him forward into nothing. No wasted motion. No hesitation. The strike came from nowhere. Bruce's fist buried itself between Zhao's floating ribs with surgical precision. Not wild, not angry, calculated. The sound came first, a wet crack that echoed off concrete walls. Then the pain. Zhao's left side vanished. Nerve endings screamed and went silent. His arm dropped dead against his ribs, useless weight. The numbness spread like ice water through muscle and bone. His legs forgot their purpose. The sweep hit his ankle before his brain registered movement. 220 pounds of street reputation tilted, tipped, fell. Concrete slammed into his shoulder, his cheek. The humid night air tasted like garbage and shame. Market dust coated his tongue. For seconds, from the first rotation of his shoulder to the pavement kissing his face. For seconds to dismantle everything Zhao had built in 53 fights. Chen and Wei stood frozen in the alley mouth. Bruce's shadow stretched across Zhao's crumpled form. The groceries sat undisturbed on the sidewalk, and the smaller man's breathing had not changed at all. Zhao gasped against the concrete, each breath scraped through his chest like broken glass. The humid night air tasted of fish sauce and exhaust fumes thick enough to choke on. Chen and Wei stood frozen at the alley mouth. Their shadows stretched long under the neon glow. Bruce turned toward them. His breathing remained unchanged. "Pick him up." The command carried no anger, no triumph, just fact. "Take him to a hospital." "That rib is cracked." Wei moved first, his boots scraping pavement. Chen followed. They knelt beside Zhao, hands hovering over him like he might shatter further. Bruce bent down, retrieved the grocery bag. Bok choy leaves peeked from the top, still fresh. "Tell him something when he wakes up." Wei looked up. "Tell him size and reputation mean nothing against someone who actually knows how to fight." The words settled like stone. Bruce straightened, turned, walked 3 steps toward the market crowd that had begun to gather at the edges, drawn by the sound of impact. Then he paused, glanced back over his shoulder at Zhao's crumpled form. "Tell him one more thing." Chen's knuckles had stopped cracking. "Tell him I will be at my school if he wants to learn why he lost." The offer hung in the air like smoke. And in that moment, watching Bruce disappear into the neon crowd, Wei understood they had just witnessed something far more dangerous than a 4-second beating. They had witnessed mercy with conditions attached. 3 weeks had passed since the pavement kissed Zhao's shoulders. The martial arts school stood on the 2nd floor. Each step upward sent phantom pain through his left side, healed ribs, shattered pride. The wooden door smelled of incense and old sweat. Inside, students moved through forms, fluid, precise, nothing like his 53 street brawls. Bruce stood near the far wall. He did not turn. Zhao's knees bent. His forehead dropped toward the polished floor. The bow felt like swallowing glass, but necessary. "I need to learn what you know." Bruce turned, waited. Zhao's throat tightened. "Because I have been fighting my whole life, and I just learned I do not actually know how to fight." The admission hung in the humid air. Students stopped moving. Few could understand what it cost a man like Zhao to speak those words aloud. To strip away the legend built on 53 wins and admit the truth that none of it mattered against real skill. Bruce stepped closer. His eyes measured something beyond muscle and bone. One condition. Zhao looked up. The room held its breath. But what Bruce demanded next would determine whether redemption was even possible. "You use what I teach to protect people, not hurt them." Bruce's words hung in the humid air between them. "The man you were does not train here." Zhao's jaw tightened. His fists opened and stayed open. 2 years became a monastery of sweat and repetition. Feet slapping training mats at dawn, breathing measured like prayer. The hands that once cracked ribs learned to move with surgical precision, and Zhao discovered something more terrifying than any street fight. Discipline required facing himself every single morning. His shoulders no longer carried swagger. His eyes no longer searched for threats to dominate. The community center smelled of old wood and fresh paint. Zhao stood before a 17-year-old kid with gang tattoos crawling up his neck. The kid's fists were already clenched. "Some punk disrespected me in front of my crew." The kid's voice cracked with fury. "I know where he lives." Zhao remembered concrete against his spine. 4 seconds of humiliation that saved his life. Real strength. Zhao's voice carried the weight of 53 empty victories. Real strength is walking away from fights you could win. The kid's fists slowly unclenched. One lesson, one life saved, the only victory that ever mattered.